It's so easy to dismiss ancient stories as just simple fairy tales, right? But what if they're more than that? What if they're actually hidden blueprints for a better, more meaningful life? Well, today, we're going to try and unlock some of that hidden wisdom.
So this really is the big question we're tackling. In our super fast-paced, modern world, can these old stories actually teach us anything new? I've got a feeling the answer is going to surprise you. We're going to dig into 3 timeless tales that reveal some pretty powerful truths about who we are.
All right, our first lesson is all about a kind of loyalty that isn't loud or obvious. It's about how a person's real character shows up not in public praise or big dramatic gestures, but in quiet, often misunderstood actions.
So, picture this. We're in the kingdom of Sind, and a wise old king knows his time is running out. He calls for his most trusted minister, the Diwan, and hands him 8 keys. Not just any keys, these unlock all the kingdom's treasures and secrets. Talk about an act of incredible trust.
But here's where things get a little strange. The king gives the Diwan some very specific instructions. He says, when my son's ready to take over, give him 7 of these keys. But, and this is important, keep that 8th key a total secret. Only give it to him after he's ruled for 5 full years. This odd command is what kicks off the whole problem. You gotta wonder, right? Why the secrecy? What's the 5-year wait all about?
And, well, you can probably guess this doesn't go over too smoothly. The young prince becomes king, he gets the 7 keys, and he's totally thrilled. But of course, there's always a jealous courtier lurking around. This guy sees his chance. He starts planting this little seed of doubt, whispering to the new king, "Hey, did you know there's an 8th vault? And I bet the Diwan has already stolen everything inside for himself."
And this, right here, is where the Diwan's loyalty is put to the ultimate test. He's sworn an oath, so he can't explain himself, even as he has to save the king from 3 deadly threats he knows are coming. First, right before a huge royal parade, he kills the king's amazing new horse, because he knows it's secretly a demon. Then, at the wedding feast, he grabs a golden platter and just throws it to the ground, because it's covered in poison. And finally, the wildest one, he sneaks into the royal bedroom and licks the new queen's cheek just to remove a single deadly drop of snake venom. Now, to the king, who has no idea about any of this, these are just the actions of a crazy person betraying him.
The young king? Well, he only sees disrespect and flat-out treason. His horse is dead, his wedding is a mess, and his wife has been inappropriately touched. He doesn't see the loyal motives behind these bizarre actions, so he flies into a rage and sentences his most faithful servant to death. It's just a tragic ending that comes from misunderstanding and a total lack of patience. Okay, let's move on to our second lesson, and you'll see how these ideas start to connect. We're shifting from the outside world of actions to the battlefield that's inside all of our heads, the war within the mind.
For our second story, we meet a young man. He's poor, but he's a genuinely good person. One day, he sees a really old holy man, a fakir, who's just struggling to carry 3 super heavy bags. Being a kind guy, the young man offers to help carry one of the bags to the next village for just a couple of coins.
Now, this is where that internal battle really kicks off. The fakir tells him the first bag is just full of copper coins. The young man's mind starts to spin. Then, they get to a river, and the fakir asks him to carry the second bag, telling him it's full of silver. Those greedy thoughts start getting louder. Finally, they're at the bottom of a steep hill, and the fakir hands him the third bag, whispering that this one has gold. And at that point, the young man's brain just goes into overdrive with justifications. He's old, he tells himself. What's he gonna do with all this? He's probably a thief anyway.
And just like that, the war inside his head is over. Greed wins. His mind is completely convinced him that stealing these bags is the right thing to do. So as they get to the top of the hill, he makes his move. He just bolts, sprinting away with all 3 bags, leaving the old man behind, his heart pounding with what he thinks is his new fortune.
But when he finally gets home, just bursting with excitement, he rips open the bags, and what does he find? Nothing. Just a bunch of rusty old iron coins. And in the very last bag, there's a letter. The letter reveals that the old fakir was actually the king in disguise. The king didn't have an heir, so he set up this whole thing as a test, to find one truly honest person to inherit his entire kingdom. The young man literally had a kingdom in his hands, and he failed the test. You know, there's a famous saying that fits this perfectly. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. That young man didn't become a thief the second he ran away with the bags. Nope. He became a thief the moment his thoughts convinced him that it was okay. His entire destiny was decided in that war he lost inside his own head.
Okay, our third and final lesson brings us to what is maybe the most valuable resource we have, and let's be honest, the one we waste the most: time.
So, in another kingdom, there's another kind king who wants to help out a guy who is just famously lazy and poor. The king makes him an absolutely incredible offer. Come to my royal treasury any time before the sun sets today, and you can take as much gold and silver as you can possibly carry. It's all yours. I mean, this is a chance to change his life forever.
But listen to how this man spends this golden opportunity. First, he decides he needs to have a really good, slow lunch before he goes. Then, after eating, he feels a little sleepy and thinks, you know what, I'll just take a short nap. That short nap lasts for 2 hours. When he finally wakes up, he starts walking, but it's hot out, so he decides to just rest under a shady tree for a little bit. That little bit turns into another 4 hours.
So by the time he finally shakes himself awake and rushes over to the palace, the sun has set. The treasury doors are locked shut. His once-in-a-lifetime opportunity is just gone. He completely wasted the most valuable thing he was given that day, his time, on a bunch of small, seemingly harmless delays.
And what did he get for his entire day of incredible opportunity? A big fat zero. Procrastination didn't just cost him a little bit of treasure, it cost him absolutely everything. It's a really powerful reminder of the true price of time.
So we've got 3 really different stories, right? A loyal minister, a greedy young man, and a lazy procrastinator. But there is a single golden thread that ties every single one of them together. Let's connect the dots here. The loyal minister acted with patience and trust. The greedy man failed because he had zero mental control. And the lazy man lost everything because he just didn't get the value of time. See how they're all linked? You need mental control to have patience, and you need to value your time to actually act on your principles.
And here it is, the ultimate takeaway. All 3 of these stories are really about the exact same thing. The real enemy was never the jealous courtier, or the fakir, or the clock. The true battle is always internal. It's the fight for mastery over our own impulses, our own thoughts, and our own time. That is the secret wisdom that's been hiding in these ancient stories all along.
Which leaves us with one last question, just for you. In the story of your life, who's the hero? Is it your conscious, disciplined mind, the part of you that chooses patience and control and action? Or is it those chaotic, impulsive thoughts that can so easily lead you down the wrong path? The answer to that? Well, that defines your whole story. Thanks for joining this explainer.